Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the HUD OCIO Learning Session. I'd like to welcome some new audiences today. I know that there are new people that have found us on the internet and found us throughout the government, and so welcome. I just want to mention we're always on the third Thursday of each month at 10 a.m. So today we have a really great session. We have with us Dr. Gigi Johnson, who is the Executive Director of the Maremel Institute in Southern California. And so first let me say, Gigi, thank you for getting up so early to be with us, because I know it's very, very early in California. So let me just...
No, 7 o'clock isn't that early. It's, you know, it's a decent time.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's not that early, but thanks anyway. So let me tell you a little bit about today's topic. So big data, as we all know, big data, sort of having its time in the sun, right? So this is really the hot thing right now. And the idea is there's a lot of data, you know, and big data, data's not the problem. It's sort of a big strategy is what the problem is. How do we actually take all of that stuff and make sense of it? And like I said, we're very fortunate to have with us Dr. Gigi Johnson. She is an expert in she's a digital change expert. And so she's going to be talking to us this morning about how you can make sense of all that stuff, and then most importantly, how you take that and then make decisions based on it. Because that's really what it's all about, isn't it? It's really, we're all about making the right decisions based on the information that you have and making data into information. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Gigi. And again, thank you for being up so early with us. So go right ahead.
That's great, though. I think I'm going to be working on my coffee in the background here as we get started here. If we can go to the first slide, I mean, part of the question is that there is an abundance of data and abundance of solutions, but not everybody knows about it. So this is a quote from William Gibson. As I've said many times, the future is already here. It's just not very evenly distributed. There are a lot of tools. There's a lot of things that your average person, your average team member could be working on with big data or little data. I mean, we're not necessarily going to talk about big data today, but how do you figure out what's available and get the information out to yourself? So we can go to the next slide. We in many ways are not talking about big data. We're going to be talking today at this session, which is set at an introductory level, and glad to follow up with folks if they would like to reach out to us at maremel.com. But we're looking at ways that you can proactively pull the data that you need for decisions that are coming up the road. How do you save time? I'm a big fan, and we'll talk about time here. How do we save time in your day in dealing with data? How can you look at all of this social media abundance that's out there and be able to listen, not just have the words go out? And how can you, I tend to joke, how can you spy on your competitors? How can you figure out what other people are doing? And so in this discussion today, we're going to spend less than an hour today going over a very complex topic. But we're going to talk about some ways that you can activate data in your own life to save you time, make better decisions, and hopefully know next directions to go with the team that you're working with. We'll go to the next slide. We live in an era right now of abundant data. And here we go next. That it really is a tsunami of data that if you would like to go through and figure out what data is available, you could spend every moment of your work life going through and sorting through all the data that's available just in your sector of your business, of your agency, of the area in which you work. Can we go to the next one? And the added complication, and we all tend to have these devices, and I'm wearing my Google Glass. I'll take it off now to not be too distracting. But we have, whether it's our smartphone or our Google Glass, that we now are throwing off and collecting data everywhere we go. The statistics now are that about 80% of emails are being consumed on mobile devices, not sitting at our desktop computers. That about 40 to 60% of social media is being consumed and collected and collaborated upon while we're on all these mobile devices, not on our desktop computers. And we're doing this together collaboratively. We don't know who sometimes is on what device. And it really is a really big challenge to be able to figure out how to collect all this data and understand what consumers, business users are in doing with all of this abundant information. Can we go to the next slide? Now, we talked about big data. Melanie just commented that big data is a big buzzword. In fact, Last year, it was a gigantic buzzword, and this year we're almost at a cynical year about big data. If we can click again. That part of it, though, is that there are so many tools out there. We're going to spend some of our time today going through these tools. But small businesses, departments, divisions don't use this data to make strategic or marketing decisions, in part because not knowing the steps to take. So we're going to spend some time together today trying to figure out how do you figure out how to do this. Now, your organization might have, there's great job titles now, data architects, data scientists, and yet they may not be necessarily also interacting with you. This may help you figure out how to ask them some questions. There's a group called the Data Analytics Association, and I was at one of their conferences a month or so ago, and they were commenting that they have a hard time figuring out how to get the decision makers to understand the data that they're working with. So if there's ways you can be a boundary spanner in your organization to be able to understand how to talk to the data people in your own shops. We can click to the next slide. So today we're going to wrestle a bit in our conversation about the 3 pain points of dealing with data. One is the amount of noise. There is so much stuff out there, and a lot of it tends to feel like it's garbage, not pertinent. How do you wade through it? How do you set it up so that you have filters to deal with that noise so you don't have to deal with everything? One of them is abundance, that there's so much stuff that, you could be spending all of your time working with it. And the third is really time. I spend, if I can avoid it, less than an hour a day on email. That's beginning to be one of the big filter challenges, that we have all this information coming on, not just on websites and newsletters and emails. How do we make sense of this as managers, as regular people? And especially since these devices that we're using to be consuming data are with us 24/7, whether or not we're sitting at 9 o'clock at night with our families or 3 o'clock in the afternoon watching a ball game, that we are thinking that we're supposed to be engaging with data, information all the time, which I would suggest, and we're going to talk today, that that's not what we're doing. But in many ways, the structures around us are changing. And we're having to deal with our identity and information. So a lot of people will say, well, I'm not a data person, or I'm not a technology person. And in many ways, we all need to be now. So that's part of our conversation today. Can we have the next slide? So our core discussion today, you can click. How are we going to use data to improve the key performance metrics of what I do? So if I need to be delivering viewers to a website, how do I understand how to make decisions that pertain to that element? If I'm needing to be providing a certain type of service from my department, how do I understand how that's working and who's coming and working with my department? Next, please. So what's my data strategy? It's not just here's all this data coming in. What am I planning to do with it? Who do I work with it? And how do we work together? Next. So I need to understand the opportunity cost in the time it's taking me to go through all this stuff. Next. How do I deal with the uncertainty of my futures and get more information so I can make better decisions? Next. And what are the better decisions I actually am trying to make with information? Melanie, am I heading in the right direction in what you'd like to do today?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can look out. The audience seems to be growing and growing with each minute. More and more people are coming in. So if I see some questions, Gigi, or people raising their hands, something like that, I'll just signal to you, and then we can ask a question, right? We can just interrupt you and ask a question. Okay,
absolutely. Great. And I'm glad to talk about more toward the end as well. So, but if anybody needs clarifying stuff, especially, please do holler.
Okay, terrific.
Great. Can we get to the next slide?
Sure, I just clicked.
Oh, and I'm not seeing it too on my side. There we go. So we're going to take 5 steps today. And these slides are available on SlideShare, and you can watch this video later if you go, wait, I missed one of those steps. But the 5 steps we're going to talk about today is how I can strategize what I can do. How do I create some simple systems to be able to set this up for my department, my life, my home? How do I listen instead of just talk using all these different things? How do I listen to what's happening on an active basis? How can I visualize all that's happening with my team? There's some great data visualization tools out now that help you wrestle with this better. And how do I share it? How do I smart share it? How do I do something other than send everybody in my department an email copying them to an article? How do I figure out how to use this data better? Next. So first we're going to start out with strategize. Next. So we're going to figure out how we're going to make some better, not just strategic decisions, but daily decisions. How are we going to figure out what to do daily a little bit better? Next. I keep saying next. We're doing this lovely high technology thing where I'm sitting on the West Coast and the team is on the East Coast clicking slides ahead. So.
Right. Isn't that fabulous?
So one way to think about this are the traditional journalisms: who, what, where, why, which, when, and how. How do we think about the data we need? What do I need to know? What is the information I'm really trying to know instead of just digesting everything? What's already out there? So can I take advantage of tools? How much money and time is this going to cost in terms of my department, my company? Because I can spend a hoard of money, or I can use all the different free or cheap tools. And we're going to focus today on free and cheap tools. And I'm going to be slightly cynical. If something is free on the web, there's a reason it's free on the web. They're collecting your data. So in any of these tools we're going to talk about is to think about what the alternatives are, what their business model is. Are they giving me a free product because later they're going to charge me money? Are they then going to hoard my data? Can I get my own data back out when I'm done? And I'll hit on those points as we hit some of these things. So we're going to take a look at consideration sets and the data that's affecting choices. And so I find a lot of organizations run the following way. And this is a quote from one of the organizations I've been working with. I found this cool product at the convention, and the salesperson said, and that became the primary option that they were looking at. And most of our organizations tend to latch onto what's called anchors, the first thing that comes in. And oftentimes that then creates a bias, and you compare everything else to that anchor. We do the same thing when we're searching information and alternatives in our organization that data is helping us with. How instead can we open up the art of the possible to have a broader range of options to consider? So part of my big pitch to you guys all listening out there in the various live and digital realms is, how can I use data to open up my expansion? And let's go to that Google slide there. So we are living in a just-in-time search world. And I run into so many departments and so many companies who, if they need to know something, go to the Googleplex, which I think we're at still mid 60% in the United States and higher and lower in other countries, where Google then is where people go. And something like 94% of searches never leave the front page, and 47% of searches end with the first thing that you click on Google. Google is not neutral. Google search rankings are a heavily structured search engine optimization structured operation in a gigantic business. And in many ways that it is not the most popular site that comes up on Google. It's what other websites point to. So if you're depending on Google, which is really how people then have web links working. Hold on a second. Somebody is calling me at the exact same time here. I'm multitasking.
This is like live television. You know, this is exactly like live television.
My phone had dropped to the ground and it was ringing in the background. See, all these things that are happening. So, so what's happening though is that people are depending on Google to be able to take action. So if you click the next item, there's a whole philosophy now that people are bidding on keywords that are going to get in front of you with Google Ads. And the phrases that we use end up dictating the research we find. If I do a search for one phrase on Google and change two of the words to be similar words, I will come up with totally different sets of information. And I'm going to be making potentially business decisions based on the choices of the words I'm making. If you click again, and it also is affected by the location you're at. So my lovely cell phone that was ringing in the background, that the location that where I'm at, whether I'm searching from my cell phone or my regular computer, I'm going to get different responses. If I am searching sitting here in Los Angeles, I'm going to get a different search than you guys that might be searching in Washington, D.C. I'm also going to get a different search based on my past search history, depending on where I am. And more interestingly, that I'm going to end up having ads impacting it. So we can click through 2 more. So as I said, Google's 67% of US searches, and it's evaluating what it thinks you need based on what you're doing and how it creates PageRank. And it's a bit of a black box. But we also have that search and social are also driving the ads we're seeing. So the environment that we're collecting data, if we depend on just-in-time data, I'm just going to do a Google search, find what I need to make a decision and present it to my boss or present it to my team. I am being heavily biased by all sorts of information that is coming in, and I might not even be putting the question down right. There's also what's called retargeting and augmentation. So if I, let's say, instead of wandering around the web looking for information, you may find that my favorite example is Zappos shoes, that they have it set up that if you are looking for a shoe, that shoe ad, that same darn shoe is going to follow you across your ads across the web. That they take a look, these retargeting entities with these ad networks, and will then represent image and ad to you based on where you travel on the web. Augmentation is the same thing as happening based on what your friends like on Facebook or on other social media, so that the ads you see, example that was given to me was, let's say I've got, I own a Honda and I love my Honda, and I happen to comment on Facebook, I love my Honda, that my friends are, I'm going to see Honda ads when my friends are looking at Hondas, hoping that I'm going to tell them that I love Honda. So we're beginning to have an entire environment around us that is incredibly biased and not neutral as to the data we're looking for. So if we simply come to the Googleplex when we're at a decision point, do a 3-word search, make a decision by what comes up above the fold on the top of the page, we're in essence letting other people narrow our decision field for us without our say-so. Next. And you know, a lovely meme from the web, what if I told you ads really are just answers? That a lot of people are then using the ads that they're seeing for information. So let's get beyond that. Let me suggest a different option for you on the next slide. There's a really great book. I'm going to suggest a couple of books in our discussion. And one is a book that's been out a couple of years by Todd Henry called The Accidental Creative. And his background is in advertising and needing to figure out when a client comes to them and says, okay, I need you to have a really great automobile ad tomorrow. How do you set up a system to be creative, to find information, to have a team of people trying to figure out how you can be pulling information together? And he has a really great book taking a look at how you can create cues for living, how you can create filters and discovery mechanisms. So we're going to be going a bit on that theme in our continuing discussion. We can go on the next slide. We're going to look at how we're going to create some simple systems to help you create some cues and to look under the hood to see what's happening on all this data that's coming into your life. Next. So we're going to look at how to create some systems for decision making and looking for opportunities to grow whatever areas of work you're doing. Next. So I just mentioned keywords in the prior discussion. And in many ways, those words that we are looking at matter. If we click through, we're going to take a look in a second what 2 different tools on how we can understand the words around us. So Google has something called the Google Keyword Planner, which we'll go through in a second, which looks under the hood at how Google and other people are looking at words out in the world. We're also going to look at Alexa, alexa.com, and I'll show you in a second how it can take a look at the keywords that are driving to your business, your website, your division. But a lot of it is that what words do we want to use to make our decisions? The example that I tend to give, which is a bit nerdy, I got a late in life doctorate. And in that late in life doctorate, I ended up spending a lot of time looking at how people believe things about technology about themselves, which is called computer self-efficacy. What a mouthful. And so I was doing a lot of my search around computer self-efficacy and realized when I started looking for other words and other phrases, entire other sets of information in other domains would open up. So we're going to look at some tools to figure out what words are actually the ones that are important to your customers, to your vendors, and how they think about the world. So let's go to the next. So this is an interesting tool set that's part of the AdWords, part of the Googleplex, and the URL is there at adwords.google.com. And you can go into the keyword planner and you can put in almost anything. And so we're going to click one more time here. And we're going to take a look at, if we looked at social media monitoring or social media metrics, all you have to do actually to use this tool is to type in the words. Now, before we click further along, you can actually put in your own website page or the product category or the area, and it will look at the keywords that it pulls off of people's websites. You can even put a competitor's web page on here, and it will pull then statistics off of what people are interested in, the words on that competitor's website. Let's click again. And you will end up with a really intriguing report that you can export into Excel, download, etc., that will tell you whole communities of words and phrases that people are searching for in their own data searches on the web. It'll show you how many people are looking for it. So, for example, in the first line, social media monitoring tools, that only 46,000 or so people are looking for it, but it's highly competed for by advertisers. And if you were going to bid for that click, you'd be bidding almost $14 to have somebody pay attention to that word. So you can take a look at the gestalt, and actually you can break this down and look at it on a monthly basis with a grid and see what the appetite for phrases are in search across specific geographies. You can look just US, you can look global, you can look by country, and you can find out what other people are looking for in terms of information. Next. Alexa is another website. This is a subsidiary of the Amazonplex, but you can go in, and I'm using the example of usfirst.org. For those of you who are seeing this later, it's less important, but next week is the World Championships for FIRST Robotics, so I thought I would celebrate that with this search, which is in St. Louis for any of you who are going to be in beautiful St. Louis. But you can use alexa.com to not just look at how popular a website is. So here we're looking at the global rank, and this is about a month old of this slide. But for US First, that there is 103,000th of the global rank, 33,000th. This one doesn't quite tell you the number of visitors, but it shows a lot of detail: 4 minutes average on site, average page views, 4 pages. But if we can click to the next page, it also can tell you what keywords people are searching for to actually find that site. Now, you could do this, of course, with your own entity, but it's wonderful to do this with competitors. Can you click to the next one? But you can also see then for the keywords that are coming out, what the market share essentially is, so that that most people are finding their way to US First, but a lot of people are wandering to Wikipedia, YouTube, Facebook, and NASA, which is heavily involved in First. So you can even on this simple free search find out information about how effective and where people are going instead of going to where you are with the vocabulary, the taxonomy, the domain phrases that are part of your business. It can help you map out a little better what's going on. Next. There's other tools I'm going to suggest that you can start with, and we're going to hit a couple more of them, and we'll go next to Google Analytics. Next. So Google Analytics is another free tool in the Googleplex. Google's business is data, not just drones and not just the Google glasses, but having the data under everything. And this is a free tool set. So supposedly about 50% of at least US websites use Google Analytics as their underpinning data. And you can see that it gives you a map over time, and this is of, I think, Maremel's site from a month or two ago, that it will give you a time trend and show you where things came from, how long people are staying. But it used to show you, this is the inside. The two charts we just showed, the two tools, are looking from the outside at what's going on. This is actually taking apart the real data underneath your organization's website, and you and your team can do a bunch of different reports to figure out how are people engaging with what you have. But if we click to the next slide, I'll tell you how this has gotten less beneficial. Oh, let me a sidebar to it. So all you have to do is put a tracking ID on all your pages, which most web tools will let you do quite readily, and it will then find out what is happening with the data of your fans, consumers, viewers, readers, and provide you and your whole department this information. If you click to the next slide. But the challenge is, and click one more time, that it used to provide you some data as to the keywords that people were really coming in on. And starting a short while ago, they started making that not provided. So being able to use, this used to be the charming tool that I could find out when people are looking for my company, clients, partners, that you could look at Google Analytics and say, what were they looking for? What are they talking about when they're coming to us? That now there is a very big blob of not provided, and you have to go to other tool sets. Next slide. So one of those, similar to Alexa, which we took a look at, is something called compete.com, and it's got a longer URL, siteanalytics.compete.com. And this way, and this uses external data, but you can look at yourself, what other people would see. This is, again, usfirst.org. But you can also take a look at your competitors, your clients, your business partners, their websites, to see who's coming and then what's competing with that. So you can evaluate if somebody worth doing business with, if they look like they're really great, and you look under the website and find out only 500 people a month are coming to the site. This lets you kick the tires on somebody else. Next, please. Another one is Quantcast.com. I like this one a lot. This also uses external data, so it's not looking at the real data. It's doing a sample pool and then finding out how can I extrapolate that sample pool. But it gives you also monthly information. If you click one more time, what's interesting about excuse me, I thought I had one more slide on there. What's interesting about that, though, is that depending on how big the site is, it can also give you demographics. It can say that it tends to over-yield women. It tends to be people from the southeast of the United States. It tends to be, so it'll give you demographic trends for your own, but also for competitors. So you can see who tends to come and search for that same type of site and information. Another one, and this is one of my favorites, which I think costs something like $7 US a month. I think it's a British company. It's called Social Bro. And it lets you take apart your Twitter analytics. And there's a lot of different tools to take apart Twitter. It allows you to scrape and essentially, let me back up half a step. Twitter. It's not just what you had for breakfast. A lot of companies, people, experts, specialists, echo out what's happening within their publications, trade press, news reports, research reports, and put them out as 140-character Twitter feeds. What's nice about that is you can set up tool sets to scrape Twitter. That what you can do is you can set up, instead of thinking of Twitter as a means to broadcast, you instead can select the people that you are interested in their thoughts, competitors, keep coming back to competitors, but there's great ways nowadays. We leave so much information out in the wild for people to grab. that you can set up by following, let's say, 100 people who are specialists in your field, that you can set up various tools to then have that information scraped down. So Social Bro is one of them. I can take, I think it's up to 5 Twitter feeds, which could be me and 4 competitors, and I can see where there's overlap, who the main Twitter followers are that are in each region, how many people follow them, visually map it, and then have that data that I can share with my team. I was helping up with a company's product launch this past summer, and we set up Social Bro to be scraping their Twitter feed and for their major competitors, and set up a weekly dashboard that everyone could see during their product launch what all the responses were by all their competitors. Next slide.
So Gigi, let me just ask you a quick question.
Please.
To try, because I'm expecting questions from the audience too. I'm just kind of wondering, is most of the time spent in actually getting this set up, or is most of the time, because it seems like once you get it set up, you can get the analytics on this pretty quickly, and then you can begin to make some decisions, right? That's the idea.
Absolutely, and some of it's really thinking about with your team what you need to set up. So you could be spending a lot of energy having a junior person who does not know strategically what you're doing and decision-wise what you're doing. You could readily have them go find a bunch of stuff and give you a bunch of information. But a lot of it is trying to figure out what decisions do we have coming up the road, what do we all need to know, how do we want to see it, and to have set up systems to pull it into your world. Essentially push it to you. I'm sorry, instead of pulling information when you need it, you're setting up systems to push it onto your desktop in the way you need to see it.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we kind of understood that, because I think a lot of us maybe use Twitter and, well, Twitter, I guess, to just kind of send stuff out, but not really thinking about how we're kind of parsing that information, how we want to get it back, and how we want to just see what we need to see.
Absolutely. And there's a couple more tools I'm going to hit in a second that are going to take us a little further into some of those abilities to see it the way we want to see it. So this is one, which is Tweetdeck, which was bought by Twitter. And I can take those elements, and again, Melly, very pertinent question is, I just need to figure it out ahead of time instead of wait to see what I wade through, and say, what am I really wanting to search for? So I could set up with Tweetdeck, I could set up, let's say, 4 major areas that we're doing research on right now, and set up people that I want to follow, and this will be a wonderful dashboard that I can go to. It still is going to flow past, so I have a couple more tools that we're going to take a look at as ways to capture it, but I can have my team looking at Tweetdeck, or I can be even doing screenshots, and we can see, okay, here's the type of dialogue that's going on, and then we can drill into things we find interesting a little deeper. And this is happening on an industry basis as well. So 2 industry segments as examples. This is a screenshot from Next Big Sound. If you're in the music business, there's abundant tools where I can be scraping data off of what people are doing with my artists and competing artists. And it's a freemium model so that I can have, actually I think now it's not freemium, I think they've moved it to being a slight pay. But major labels are spending a lot of money and time with something like Next Big Sound with the sophisticated end of it, so they can understand how to be effectively saving time on proactively finding out what's happening with artists in their genres. Bookagee has been doing some experiments, and the same thing with the book business. So you can do heat maps on where people are buying, reading, and downloading books across the United States. But part of the question and part of the comment, and this is where we're getting to with looking at how do I save this and how do I set up systems. So if you click again, what do we do with all this stuff? How do we set it up so for our team so that we have this information and can set these tools up to be able to understand it and have it available, not just flowing across our desk for 5 hours a day, but how do we set up tools so that we can save ourselves some time with all this stuff? We click again. So I'm going to hit 2 different tools that we can use as teams. One is Diigo and what is Netvibes. And I'm going to look at the free versions of both of those. Now, a lot of people I know, I met with a publishing company a few months ago and asked each of the people in their marketing department, how much time are you spending on email a day? And they figure between 2 to 3 hours a day just in email, and about half of it to each other. They found this great article, they found this great new author. Diigo is a really great tool that you can use with your teams to capture the information you find on the web, put your own keywords with it, and save it for teams. So I just commented on Bookagee. There's my bookmark on Bookagee. And I can readily then send my groups of tags I've created to other people in my department, to clients, and not have to do all of this folders and folders and folders in our email systems to save things we might want to know later. So Diigo lets you, this is its drop down, it works with most browsers, that you can essentially then click save to Diigo, add a tag from the web, and you can either, you can see there it says add to a list or share to a group, that I can work with people that I'm working with, and I will set up lists by project that I know that we're needing to find information on something, or I will set up groups that we will all share articles, findings, research reports, and we will store it in Diigo so that we can see it on any computer we're at, we can see it on our smartphones. Whatever we all find based on the decisions we're making, we can come back to that information and pull it together, or pull it together for reports. And so we're collecting information as we go, but sticking tags on it. Next. And then I can create groups. So I'm in several work groups that are communities of practice, where Diigo in Education is one of them. Conferences oftentimes will now use Diigos with articles leading to conferences, or I teach a lot of classes. I've been teaching at UCLA for about 15 years and a few other places as well. And I will put together Diigos ahead of classes so that there's related articles that I can be collecting in the wild that are topic-based, that are part of then my class work groups. Another one, we'll go to the next slide, is Netvibes, and this is, I've used this a lot for standing groups, that it is a wonderful tool, and this is the free version. You can spend a lot of money here if you wanted to, but I can select that there's 7 publications that we need to read as a department, and there's 5 Twitter feeds we need to follow, and there's about 12 blogs. I can set these up to be a dashboard you can come to in the morning and read everything that comes out of these. It pulls from their RSS feeds. So I'm a gigantic fan of saving time. I can't stand it when people send me the 12th article by email on something we're working on together. These are really great dashboards to be able to pull information together. And this is the way that I can actually add in pretty much any website into Netvibes, and it will let me then have the blog updates. So it's got an easy dashboard to set up the easy dashboard. So I work with a lot of organizations who've set these up at the beginning of major projects, so it can be scraping data off the web. I know this is a lot of stuff, and that's why I'm glad to have the slides up so people can take a look through these and see what tools they'd want to do. And there's new tools every week practically that are coming up into this. So these are some ways to kind of get started with some of it. Next slide.
Oh, you know what, Gigi? I think we have a question here. So if you can go to the microphone so that the internet audience can hear.
The fabulous internet audience.
Yes, so I was wondering, a lot of the areas that we might be wanting to collect data on might be from a narrower set of source URLs. For example, we might want to target just agency websites, or just particular housing groups of housing organizations. Is it possible to customize these tools to look across a narrower set as opposed to just broadly scraping in social media?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, you don't want to broadly scrape on social media. You can set up, whether it's Netvibes, which we just saw, you can set up exactly what you're wanting to then follow. But you also probably have on social media specific experts in the space who all are tweeting anyway, that you can set this up. It's best to set up narrow. It's best to say, I'm really looking at this very targeted space, and use these tools to pull that information in. Same thing with the keyword searches, that you can't just look at what those agencies are searching for or what those nonprofits might be searching for or community groups might be searching for, but you could have them as part of the folks that you are scraping data from and having as your dashboard. Does that make sense? Hopefully that helped.
Okay, so, great. And I don't see any other questions right now, so we'll just go right back to your presentation.
Cool. What I wanted to emphasize with the tools that we just shared and thinking about how do I work with the very targeted information sets that I'm looking for is how do I share it with other people and how do I find it again? I don't know how many, and I don't know what, for example, with HUD, what your data retention policy is. For a lot of smaller entities that may be watching this on the web, they may not have a data retention policy. And we now can collect so much digital stuff in our digital closets. I try not to keep anything on hard drives anymore, even though hard drives have gotten shockingly cheap for a terabyte drive. How do I tag and find things later that I've put together? So there's quite a few examples of tools that are out there now. And for government agencies, you probably have some very specific policies as to where you can store things in the cloud. It may be less pertinent for other folks who might be watching this. How do we share ideas? Evernote is one tool. I'm a pretty big user of Evernote myself that allows you to tag and save, and there's various drop-down tools you can use to be able to grab things for that shared space. There's Dropbox, there's Google Drive. There's lots of challenges with a lot of these tools. So one of the last things I have on the slide there is that how do you know something's changed? But what's nice about these tools is that I can work with a group with them. So it's not just having it on my hard drive on my computer, but I can set up tools so that whatever I'm collecting, I can bring to a collaborative group. So if we go to the next slide.
Well, and Gigi, that's exactly what we did when we met last year, using Dropbox. See, so,
absolutely.
So Gigi and I know each other because we were on a panel together last year at the Academy of Management. And so we talked about our favorite topic, which is how do you translate academic theory to practitioners? So how do you take all that academic stuff that no one reads and understands and bring it to the practitioner at their desk? And so we had about 12 people, I guess. And so we used Dropbox. And that was the best way to do it because we can all share, we can all collaborate, we can all see each other's presentations. And of course, all of us had a comment about everybody's presentation. That's because that's probably the way we are. But the beauty of it was all right there. And the idea is when you need to collaborate, you want to have everything available. And Dropbox is one thing, but there are as you're pointing out, Gigi, so many tools that we can use. And I think, as I look around in the audience, I can see the people, there's a lot of note-taking, and everybody will get copies of the presentation. But I can see that I think you're kind of sparking a lot of interest because I think there's stuff out there that people just had no idea about. So it's really great so far because you're really prompting a lot of interest here.
And what you can do is you can note-take on these things. That I can note-take actually on my little phone that I'm using on Evernote directly into it. But as you're commenting, Melanie, that in many ways, that presentation we worked on a year ago together is still sitting on
It's still in Dropbox.
So that's one of the challenges here is that, first of all, we had to figure out, can we all go on Dropbox? Can we all find Dropbox? Do you have other preferred tools? But if you click through the rest of the slide stuff here, the 4 bullet points, you have to think about how other people think. And then, when do we get rid of it? So we have this presentation on Dropbox from a year ago. Who edits it? Who gets rid of it? Who owns what we worked on together? And how do I remember to come back if somebody changes it? And does Dropbox need to tap my email to say, oh, by the way, Melanie changed her slides? What's neat about Dropbox is it updates all of our hard drives at the same time. So if I edited, let's say, this presentation and put it on Dropbox, it would then sync it to everybody's computer, which is great unless you happen to be offline for a while. But then how do I know to come back to it? So we have all these human behavior stuff that we need to actually talk about. And I find in a lot of organizations, we tend to not talk about it. We make assumptions about what you do. And so it becomes a really great environment to actually have to talk about the digital stuff we have. Now, I'm a big fan, if you click to the next slide, about the opportunities that come from this, because when you stick something on your hard drive, you oftentimes never see it again. But if I stick it in great folders or ways that people can see it, if you click twice more, that you really have the opportunity to go back through all this stuff, go through old folders and see what connects to current work you're doing. So, you know, the benefit of having all this stuff is that you can actually go back later when you're a year later and you can look at the project that Melanie and I worked on together and get new ideas by reorganizing it. Or sometimes what I call forced adjacency, if you put things together that aren't normally combinations, you can come up with new ideas. So if you have really nicely organized data you've been culling ahead of projects, you can start looking at things that otherwise aren't the same species, apples and oranges, and come up with new ideas for what you're working on. Next. So this is simply a primer on a very complex topic. And there's a wonderful book that's now in paperback that Howard Rheingold has written called Netsmart. So if you're looking for tools to really expand this out, Maremel will be doing some workshops, but Howard's got just amazing stuff in this book. There's another group that I've been part of called peeragogy.org, and it's about peer learning, and the entire book is available online, or you can buy it as well. But it's an entire very large website now taking a look at all the different tools that you can use to work together with other people and how you can collaborate. And it was written as a collaborative book using all these tools by 20 crazy people that I was part of. Next slide. So we've got about 15 minutes left. I'm going to go through the 3, 4, and 5 pretty quick as to topic sets. But if you click again, I mean, really, it's how do we listen? How do we use the data from the inside and out that's already out there? And like Melanie was saying, it's, you know, it's not just using it to market, but how do we set up systems to actually listen for us? Next slide. So I'm a big fan of using social media to scrape. So can I take social discourse, social sentiment? There's all these tools, you know, that you can connect databases of what's already out there. There's a lot of work, and hopefully that there's people in your department who this is really their shtick. There's a lot of basic tools that we can use, though, to scrape social media to find out how are people thinking, what are they talking about, but also be listening to experts on what they're thinking and talking about, which we've touched on a little bit already. Next slide. And the real challenge, and I went to this, as I was mentioning, conference with the Data Analytics Association, is we're now using all these different devices. How do I know that the me that's on Netflix is the me that's on this smartphone, is the me that's on this laptop, that's the me that's on my iPad? And a lot of the challenge right now that you'll be hearing if you do have data and analytics people in your organization is, how do I know who you are with all of these devices and almost too much information that's coming in from other people? So on a simple basis, I'm not going to be able to recommend any tool sets, just identify the challenge right now. Next. But what I can do is realize that all this content is coming out, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Foursquare, Diigo, StumbleUpon, Spotify, and the volume of data is pretty gigantic that has come through all these spaces. Next slide. So part of it is, how do we set up systems to actively listen? So 2 really simple ones. One is, and this is more for the for-profit sector, but you can even think about it for other departments and other agencies, that you can look at job postings. We all tend to have policy that we need to post jobs. And you know, whether you use Brass Ring or one of the other tool sets, that you can go in and see then 3 to 6 months ahead of time what other agencies, competitors, clients are looking to do, that people are putting out that information out onto the web. But you can, as we talked about, scrape the Twitter feeds of industry pundits, reporters, key analysts, trend data, and be able to have that stuff. And you can also set up in what's on the right a Google alert. So I can create a search query, something that I would be looking for, and it can search for me every day to see what's said on that topic. A very interesting, free, simple tool, and I can set up pretty much as many alerts as I'm willing to put up with coming into my email basket. Next. The fourth thing that I can do is visualize, and I'm going to oversimplify a highly complex topic. Next. That I really can use visuals to persuade around this data. So we talk about decision making. This isn't just data, this is decision making. Click again. So I can use data for two things really. I can do, click twice more. I can use data to make decisions. I can use visuals to take all this stuff to make it more digestible, or I can use it to convince people in my organization. So let me give you an example. Thanks for clicking ahead to that. That's great. There's a great tool called Gapminder. So you think, well, I've got information, but it's big, messy information. I have reports on demographics and social welfare issues. I've got information on average income that's against some kind of other need. You can take multi-level data and create visuals to let people do scenario runs. This is called Gapminder, and it's at gapminder.org, but it's also part of Google Analytics, Google Tools with Google Spreadsheets, that I can make my data, and this is data having to do with life expectancy and income across various countries, and I can make it come to life. Next slide. I can also use concept maps. And I've got the link there that you can have on this slide deck that will take you to a gigantic list of tools. This is a free tool called FreeMind, but I can create essentially information bubbles that I can lay out in any way to be able to tell the story with my information. Next slide.
You know, just one other thing, Gigi, the mind mapping tools are terrific. FreeMind,
yes,
and there's a lot of great mind mapping tools just to help people think through problems. Because oftentimes when you're thinking about a problem, you already have sort of the solution in mind. And so when you use mind mapping tools, you're able to sort of free associate issues regarding the problem. And before you know it, you've come up with things that you would never normally would have thought would have been associated with that problem. And so those kind of tools are terrific.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of using those tools also in a group setting instead of PowerPoint. Despite the fact that this is a nice big PowerPoint, I'm pretty anti-PowerPoint because it tends to affect your thinking. And it's nice to sit down with a group of people and use a mind map to brainstorm, and then you have a document of how you brainstormed.
Right, exactly. It's very useful for groups.
It's very, very useful for groups. And so this is a big bucket of other useful for groups that I will leave as a resource for people within the slide deck. I mean, this is so hip right now to be doing visualizations that the number of startups in this space who have created all these fabulous, mostly free tools for you to take data and maneuver it is getting pretty spectacular. Next slide. And we could spend at least an hour just on data visualization, and we're going to be doing some follow-up stuff with that. I'm a big fan on the last point here of how we share this stuff. Click again. You know, how do I work with teams and partners? Because many ways people, when they look at data nowadays, it tends to be, how am I doing this research on my own to do the report that's due today? How do I collaborate with groups of people? Next. So part of it is understanding what you currently do as a group. And I'm still trying to find a group that is not part of an incredibly sophisticated data organization that does anything oftentimes more than emailing, printing hard copies, and creating folders, you know, that is sending emails to each other, and like the example of the publishing company, is spending a gigantic amount of time sorting through articles that they send each other. At least it's not, you know, cat pictures and animated GIFs, but sending each other, I think the average email that is sent to people is sitting on something like 5 different hard drives. As I send you a copy, you send it to somebody else, you save it someplace else. How do you deal with all this information and not go into the email bucket, which thinks it has zero cost because it costs me nothing to hit send. Well, it costs you a lot and my whole organization a lot for the time that it's spending with all that. Next slide. So a lot of this also is exacerbated by the fact we are everywhere. That we are now working, not just the fact that I'm sitting here in LA and you guys are sitting there in DC, but your average organization is now dispersed, which is why Salesforce with its distributed tool set is now a 38 billion market cap business. How do we work together? And how do we use different types of tools for different types of collaboration? And this is, again, a whole nother hour-long discussion. This link is just to a whole set of tools. If your team would like to think about how to do collaboration together, you can click again. And this is part that I was really amazed by recently. The average square foot per employee in the United States is going down dramatically as we are expecting people to not be in the office. That the CoreNet study shows that we went from 225 average square foot per employee down to 150 in 2013 in just 3 years. The Norm-Miller report from UCSD is down to 195, down from 250. We've got less and less of a face-to-face environment in many organizations, less and less of a physical office space that you are then not sharing with other people. Collaboration is more than just having shared storage. It's the how do I work with people who are not here now? And I don't know if that's hit your agencies, your group yet, but this is beginning to be a gigantic issue, is how do I collaborate with people who are not here? Next.
Well, and Gigi, I keep interrupting because I'm keep looking for some questions, but the model for the 21st century is a virtual office. So that's sort of where we're going, right? And it's about working asynchronously, right? Mm-hmm. So the part about sharing is really key there, because you have to really figure out, how do you share that information? Or how do you make it information to begin with? And then how do you share it effectively, I think, is really part of the issue.
And not only that, but how do you share it with organizations that are not yours? Right. So you're going to have policies in your organization that are, okay, you're all going to be on SharePoint, and here's exactly what you're going to do. But then when you work with another organization, what are their rituals of taking data and sharing it and owning it and working with it? So some of the obvious ones to work outside of your organization are things like Dropbox, which we talked about, which can do Dropbox for Business, Google Drive. There's lots of other tools, though. These are the ones most people tend to know. I'm going to hit just to wrap up on 2 others, but this, if you're looking for an area to invest in the next few years, this is such a growth area right now, is collaborative spaces that are not necessarily single organization spaces. So if we hit the next slide. This is one called Lumio, and I set up a space. I do a lot of work with Fielding where I'm a grad. You can create collaborative spaces for free or inexpensively that are cross organizations, intra-organization, that lets you put in discussions, proposals, take the same things we've been doing face-to-face and have a place for them to percolate that you can use on any device, that don't have to be behind your firewall. And then one last one, Podio, which a lot of them, you can see have kind of social media visual metaphors, but there's ways that you can set tools up then that let you then have tasks for groups, information sharing, collaboration. This is just a step down the path. This has been just really an introduction on what's a pretty complex space, but hopefully is giving you some tools that you can take a look at within your daily work to maybe make a little bit of a 5% change in how you can think about better ways that you can use your time with data. So we just get to the last slide. That we really are looking at how do we balance time, information, and other people's behavior? How do I figure out the assumptions you're making about my time, I'm making about your time, how we work together when we're not in the same place and space, and how you and I make decisions together based on information that is flooding us from the outside world so that we can make better decisions. and I'm just almost to the top of the hour. What else can I answer, Melanie, or how can we have some great follow-ups for people who want more?
I see one question, and we only have the time for one question, so we'll do that, Gigi.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm part of the multifamily group here. My question really is, how likely is it that we will be able to encourage people to follow your advice so there's less wasted time with more information than we need? That is, have studies been done that prove to us that we can train people to be better about using information?
It all depends on what better means. So if it's your immediate work team, you can sit and have great conversations about it. This is an entire field of knowledge management that, depending on your organization, this can be incredibly sophisticated in how it's worked with and done. A lot of people have done time studies to see how much time you can save, especially getting away from email. I'm not quite sure how we've gotten into such a bizarre social ritual with the, rabid BCCs and making sure that everybody has 12 digital copies of everything. But a lot of it is, how do you affect the people directly around you and the people with whom you make decisions? But are there studies to say, oh, look, you can get a 20% improvement in blah, blah, blah? It's going to be really variable by how you deploy. And a lot of it is, can you get other people to help you save your time? Because their behaviors are going to affect your choices.
Okay, well, we're at the top of the hour, and I want to thank Gigi Johnson for joining us. I mean, I think that was a terrific session today. I think we all learned a lot. I think in some ways we're probably overwhelmed with the amount of information you gave us. I know I was a little bit. I'm thinking now I could be so much more productive now that you just talked about all these ways I could save some time. So I would ask that you join us next month. May 15th is our next session, and we're going to be discussing how to use social media in times of crisis. So thank you all for participating, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thanks very much.